I think that is where Will is a little bit conflicted.
Yeah.
Will is now saying, okay, they're taunting me in Hollywood. People are laughing at me.
And these are sizable books. They're minimum 200 pages. You can download them absolutely for free by simply going to, for example, this one, you just go to getmymarriageback.com, smartrealestatewholesaling.com, realestatemoneysecrets.com. So yes, I am a 3 times author, and those books are out there for your consumption, and they are also available everywhere on Amazon, anywhere that you pick up books. So in case you prefer a physical book like that, if you haven't been in that place, shut the fuck up.
That's true.
Until further notice.
Until further notice.
Yes. Give me 10 years and come back to me later.
Yes.
Right? So there's a balance there. No. I'm not saying it's okay to go in front of your woman and be crying every day. I'm saying it's okay if you felt some type of emotions.
That's right.
And you need to express it. And I give the example on the AMM Club. I lost one of my best friends about a decade ago, and I couldn't control myself. I sat down for a second. I thought about, like, wait, if people just go like that? And then I broke down. And my wife had to console me. And there were enough bum ass bitch in the chat room that were saying Sims, but it's okay. I understand it. But you see what I do? I come for them every now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's
the
dynamics right there.
You answered my question. You really did answer my question. I hope that also the viewers could also learn as we're learning, as I'm learning right now, that they could learn from that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's dive into Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. No, sorry. I didn't mean Jada Pinkett. I meant Chris Rock, right? Okay. What's your perspective on that?
My perspective of Will Smith is the perspective of a man. Okay, it's really complex. I think Will Smith's story is really the story of knowing what you're going into and being ready to accept the consequences of what comes. I have this great fear, but again, I had to also learn to accept that this fear must not necessarily be removed from, my system by every human being, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Call it a fear, call it a pet peeve, call it what you may, but the idea of cause and effect. And so I've always had this thing, and there was a time in my life when I was very irritated with people who failed to realize cause and effect. For example, if I met someone who came to complain, like, I just can't believe that snake bit me, I would automatically be very irritated with that kind of a person. I wouldn't want you near me. I wouldn't want you to come around me anymore, because I would be like, okay, what did you think the snake was going to do? Do you think it was going to hug you? That's how I used to reason. And I discovered that now, talking about our sisters, and we talk about them in love, I discovered that at times there were so many situations where I was faulted for really leaning on cause and effect. Like, I would lean on cause and effect and I would get into trouble.
Right.
Case in point, and because we're sharing this for the learning, I remember once when, someone just, when I was married, my ex ran into the garage and just reversed the car into the garage, claiming that she was trying to get to work. She was in a hurry to leave. And I was like, the button is there for you to press to open the garage.
Right.
I don't understand you. And I remembered that at that moment I became the evil man. I became the bad guy. I became the evil man in the story. And everywhere I went and I told people, come, please, honestly, I swear, wouldn't you open the garage before reversing? Everybody was like, it's not as clear-cut as that. Everybody was telling me, and people were telling, one person was calling me and said, he says he knows where I'm coming from, but it doesn't work that way. And I remembered as of then, because I was naive, I became more and more angry. I was like, guys, she should have just opened the garage. And then I used myself. That was what made it worse. I used myself as an example. I said, I have never, ever in my life backed into a closed garage before. You see, I used myself and it got worse.
Yeah, it gets worse.
But I discovered, and then it took me time to discover that the idea of cause and effect doesn't work in all scenarios in life.
Right.
And that was one too. It also for us men, if you really lean on cause and effect, then it could really affect your relationships with certain kinds of people,
Yes.
even
Yes.
with the sister folk.
Absolutely.
So when that happened, I now started to become careful. Now, Will Smith, with that being said, Will Smith comes across to me as somebody who really didn't do his homework as far as the idea of cause and effect is concerned. That's how I see him. I see him as someone who got into a relationship,
Okay.
wanted it to work, because I remember him. The way I see Will and my own impression of Will is a very positive person, very optimistic, high
Yes.
energy.
Yes.
You know, he used to be that one person I looked up to as being like, I used to ask myself, how is this guy always positive,
Always on point.
no matter what? This guy always has positive energy, no matter what life flings at him.
Yeah.
And so I saw him as a kind of Superman. Like, he's always smiling, he's always positive. You hear nothing bad about him in the news. There was never a time he was caught sleeping, like, caught drunk driving, or police will report that they pulled him over in a Ferrari and it was to the greatest shock and surprise, it was Will Smith and he was incoherent.
Right.
Will never got into the tabloids in a bad way. He was Hollywood's good guy.
Yep.
So when this happened, and I saw it as a cause and effect issue, he married Jada. Jada brought in
some almost 30 years ago.
30 years ago. Jada brought in something into his life. Now, all things being said, let us agree, and we could agree on that. According to the famous myth is, most likely your partner is going to bring some things into your life which you need to develop it. Most likely, no matter how unpleasant you see it, right? No matter how unpleasant you see it, they're going to bring in some kind of an angle by which you need to develop it. So that being said, she brought something into his life. Now, whatever she brought into his life, and I know people will laugh and say she brought in too much information, too much information to the public, or she brought in too much of being a free spirit,
right?
Or she brought in too much of being independent. But whatever she brought into his life, plus of course, it being the perfect storm of where they stay at, which is Hollywood, one of the most toxic places in the world. Certain things have come back to Will,
right?
And these things have come back to him, and I believed I saw somebody who was actually very close to his breaking point, if not, And so he lashed out.
He lashed out.
He lashed out. Now, that being said, the question that comes in my mind is, could there have been a better way he could have handled it?
Yeah.
Two, I think I'm beginning to evolve out of the idea of Jada.
Right.
Why I'm evolving?
Some people don't like the fact that you haven't mentioned Jada so far.
Yeah. I'm evolving out of the idea of Jada because it is Will's choice.
Yeah.
But if this is Will's choice, Will needs to accept the consequences.
Yeah.
You see, the cause and effect. He needs to accept what comes with the package he chooses. He needs to accept it and work with it. You see that? I think that is where Will is a little bit conflicted.
Yeah.
Will is now saying, okay, they're taunting me in Hollywood. People are laughing at me.